Okay, let's dive right into this explainer where we are going to unpack the absolute brilliance of natural water filtration. We're going to base our journey today on the complete experimental video on natural water filter design presented by Dr. Kem. And what we're going to look at is how the exact same fundamental science can be used to scale up from a scavenged, makeshift plastic bottle in a pure survival situation, all the way to a massive multi-tank community water system. So whether you're prepping for an off-grid adventure or you're just really fascinated by practical, lab-tested engineering, you are definitely going to want to stick around for this one. Here is our quick roadmap for the explainer. First, the science of purification. Second, survival-scale charcoal filters. Third, the biosand breakthrough. Fourth, scaling up 300L systems. And finally, number 5, the myth of pure water.
Starting things off with Section 1, the science of purification, understanding charcoal. Now, to truly understand how any of these systems work, we absolutely have to start at the microscopic level with our secret sauce, and that is charcoal. A lot of people actually confuse charcoal with ash, but Dr. Kem's experiments make the distinction glaringly obvious. Ash is really just that white, powdery stuff left over after a fire is totally burned out. Charcoal, on the other hand, is the black, carbon-rich material left behind when wood is heated up in a low-oxygen environment. And because it forms under those very specific conditions, it becomes highly porous at a microscopic level. It's essentially this vast, microscopic carbon labyrinth. And honestly, that specific structure is the key to literally everything else we're going to talk about.
Here's where it gets really cool. The crucial difference in the chemistry that makes that labyrinth so effective comes down to literally just one letter. Notice the D in adsorption. Charcoal cleans water through adsorption, not absorption. So it doesn't just soak up water into its pores like a kitchen sponge. Instead, as Dr. Kem demonstrates, it acts way more like a chemical magnet. As water flows through all those tiny microscopic pores, things like toxins, heavy metals, and weird odors chemically bond and physically stick to the vast surface area of the carbon. So the impurities are trapped right there on the surface, leaving the water that passes through it significantly cleaner.
Moving right along to Section 2, survival scale, charcoal filters, improvised clean water. Let's see how this foundational science turns into an actionable, do-it-yourself survival filter you can literally make in the wild. If you ever find yourself in the backcountry staring at a cloudy, sediment-filled puddle, these 4 simple steps are basically your lifeline. First, prepare your charcoal. You'll want to crush up your cold campfire coals to expose as much of that massive surface area as possible. Second, prepare your housing. This could just be a plastic water bottle with the bottom cut off, or honestly, even a hollow log works. Third, layer the media. Now, Dr. Kem's lab setups show exactly why the order here matters so much to prevent clogging. You put gravel at the top to catch the big stuff like leaves and twigs, sand in the middle to strain out the finer particles, and then your crushed charcoal at the very bottom to chemically absorb the remaining microscopic toxins. And finally, step 4, operate and flush the system. Okay, the absolute most critical thing to remember here is patience. When you pour that first batch of dirty water into your newly built filter, what comes out the bottom is going to be completely pitch black. Do not panic. This is just loose charcoal dust flushing out of the system. It's totally harmless, but it doesn't taste great. You absolutely have to wait for the water to run clear before you even think about collecting it for drinking. So keep the water level topped off to maintain the pressure, pour the dirty water in really slowly so you don't mess up your carefully built layers, and then just step back and let gravity do all the work.
All right, Section 3, the biosand breakthrough, household filtration evolution.
So, upgrading from a quick wilderness fix, let's look at how this exact same layered technology was formalized for actual everyday household use. The history of this filter is just a brilliant testament to scaling up a good idea. Municipal slow sand filters have actually been a thing since the 1800s, but the real game changer happened in the late 1980s when Dr. David Manns at the University of Calgary managed to miniaturize that massive municipal concept into the household biosand filter. They ran really rigorous lab and field tests in places like Nicaragua in 1991 and then patented the system in 1993. Ultimately, this massive breakthrough led to the co-founding of CWAST in 2001. That's a nonprofit totally dedicated to spreading this life-saving and super affordable technology to off-grid communities all over the globe.
Now, what's truly mind-blowing here is the biology behind it. Dr. Kem's analysis of these household biosand filters reveals that the sand isn't just acting as a physical strainer. Because the water actually sits in the filter long-term, a totally natural biofilm grows right in the top 1 to 2 centimeters of the sand bed. This layer is literally alive. It removes harmful microbial pathogens through interception, competition, and predation.
So it completely transforms a simple, static bucket of sand into an active, microscopic biological battlefield that hunts down and eats the bacteria in your drinking water. Nature is wild, right?
Which brings us to Section 4, Scaling Up. 300L Systems, Community Water Treatment.
Let's take those exact same scientific principles, the physical straining, the chemical adsorption, and the biological predation, and scale them way, way up. What you get is a massive 300-liter per day community system that looks a lot like this 4-tank setup. The incredible thing about this design is that it doesn't need a single drop of electricity. It completely skips complex, high-tech membranes. Instead, it just scales up the core concepts from Dr. Kem's plastic bottle experiments. It leverages simple gravity and basic plumbing to purify huge amounts of water every single day for an entire community.
Each of these tanks serves a highly specific sequential role. Think of it like a water-purifying assembly line, but in reverse. It strips the impurities away step by step. Tank 1 is the gravel roughing pre-filter. That's designed to settle out the heavy sediment and the really thick mud. Tank 2 is the slow sand biofilter. This is the massive home where that hungry biofilm we just talked about lives and eats pathogens. Tank 3 is the biochar adsorber, acting as our giant chemical magnet to lock away heavy metals and toxins. And finally, Tank 4 is the treated water storage, keeping all that beautifully clean water safe and ready to be used. Looking at how the water actually moves inside these tanks, it's brilliantly simple. In the first tank, the dirty water actually pushes slowly upward through the gravel roughen filter. That upward flow allows heavy, solid matter to just naturally settle out to the bottom. Then, gravity completely takes over, pulling the water downward through the thick, fine sand bed in Tank 2, and then downward again through the super dense bed of crushed biochar in Tank 3. It creates this perfect, continuous, gravity-fed cycle. To control all this flow between the tanks, the system uses standard half-inch PVC pipes and very basic mechanical float valves. And you might be wondering, why are these basic valves such a big deal? Well, it's because biological and chemical reactions take time. As Dr. Kim stresses repeatedly in his videos, contact time is literally everything. The float valves make sure the water moves at the exact right slow speed. If the water rushes through too fast, the biofilm doesn't have time to eat the bacteria, and the biochar doesn't get enough contact time to chemically adsorb the toxins.
But because these are living, working systems, they do need a little TLC. They require regular maintenance. The bottom valves have to be opened for monthly backwashing just to flush out the accumulated sludge. And over in the sand tank, as that biological layer gets thicker over time, the water flow rate will naturally start to slow down. When that happens, you have to perform what's known as filter harrowing. Basically, you just gently stir the top layer of sand to suspend the extra gunk and scoop it out. That completely resets the flow rate without killing off your vital biolayer.
And finally, Section 5, the myth of pure water, limitations and safety. Before we wrap this up, we have to tackle a really critical safety caveat that applies to every single system we've discussed today. It is a dangerous misconception to believe that a charcoal filter makes water 100% safe to drink. Whether we are talking about an improvised plastic bottle filter in the woods or a highly engineered multi-tank community setup, natural media is not a magic silver bullet against everything out there in the environment. Don't get me wrong, natural filters are incredible at removing sediment, greatly improving taste, and reducing chemical and bacterial loads. But Dr. Kem's rigorous lab tests point this out super clearly. Certain microscopic pathogens, things like Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and extremely tiny viruses, can occasionally slip right through the microscopic gaps in the sand and charcoal. So the water might look perfectly crystal clear, but unseen dangers can definitely still remain. To guarantee 100% safety, you absolutely still need to boil your filtered water for at least 1 minute, or for 3 minutes if you happen to be at an elevation above 6,500 feet. Think of it this way. The filter does the heavy lifting, but the fire is what guarantees your safety. Understanding how to pull clean water from a totally muddy puddle using nothing but a plastic bottle, some sand, and cold campfire coals is an incredibly empowering skill. But knowing the true limitations of that skill is what actually keeps you alive. So I'll leave you with this. How might you integrate natural sand and charcoal filtration with boiling or chemical treatments in your own emergency preparations? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.